We have the patent professor back with us, John Rizvi, here on Portland's Afternoon News. Good to have you with us, John.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Now, Donald Trump has been using this Hayes song. So anybody who has seen news coverage of any of the rallies that Donald Trump holds probably has heard that song. The Hayes estate threatened a copyright lawsuit earlier this month, John, and they got a judge to grant an emergency injunction and set that hearing date we were talking about. What does the injunction part of this thing mean?
So when you bring a lawsuit, you can bring a lawsuit for damages, which typically money damages, or you can ask for a specific action to be taken. Sometimes if you think the money damages are not going to undo the harm, then you ask for a specific action. I haven't seen the injunction. I don't know if it's been published yet, but my guess is that the money damages that they're requesting is $3 million. But by continuing to play the music, there's damages that are non-monetary, and that is what's being sought. And certainly that's the case with a lot of the campaign music cases. It's not so much about the financial loss of licensing revenue for these artists, but when you're talking about campaigns, and particularly a divided campaign like this one, the concern the artists have is their affiliation with a certain candidate because of their music. And that's something that's most likely the harm that they're claiming is going to be very hard to overcome.
So in other words, the Hayes estate is saying, we could lose sales on music because people are associating him now with the Trump campaign.
Yeah, exactly.
This is Portland's Afternoon News, and we are talking with the patent professor, that is attorney John Rizvi, about a lawsuit against former President Trump's campaign over the use of a song written by the late Isaac Hayes, the one called Hold On, I'm Coming. You've probably heard it many, many times. John, I know the campaign has claimed to have paid licensing fees for use of other songs at the rallies. For example, this one, My Hero from the Foo Fighters. Now, that is one that we air routinely on KXL. So I know there are cases when music is used legally without express permission. What's the difference between that, for example, and the way the Trump campaign is using these songs?
Yeah, so, I mean, in some instances, I mean, there's a clearinghouse, the Broadcast Music Inc., commonly known as BMI, and they're a clearinghouse for literally like thousands and thousands of songs. However, artists are permitted to opt out of their license, and that's exactly what the estate of Isaac Hayes is claiming, that they opted out of the BMI license, and therefore the Trump campaign no longer has any permission to use that song or play that music at their rallies or anywhere.
Now, if the Trump campaign, though, wasn't aware that the Hayes estate had pulled out of the BMI licensing agreement, can they still be held financially responsible?
Yeah, so there is a defense of innocent infringement that they could put forward. I don't think they may not, because of how publicly the opposition has been made clear and how long it's been made clear, and the fact that the music continues to be played after it's very clear. I don't think that defense is going to fly. That defense is kind of an equitable defense based on fairness, saying, we're sorry, we didn't know. And typically that means you stop the action that you're sorry about, right? But if you continue it, then that kind of downplays the defense of innocent infringement.
Now, if the Trump campaign says, hey, we did pay licensing fees for this music up until the time that the Hayes estate pulled out of the BMI deal, would they not be on the hook for any money up to that point?
Now, that's a different story. That may provide them with a reduction of the amount that's claimed. I mean, typically the statutory damages are $150,000 fine for every instance. So that would reduce the damages. Ultimately, though, I think what this ends up being is a battle over the fans and the association. So I think as long as there are some damages paid, the estate gains what they want, and I would say son gains what he wants, is a disassociation with the Trump campaign, and basically they're being vindicated that this music, at least the continuing of playing it, was not authorized, and certainly makes clear to their fan base that they are not fans of Donald Trump.
He is the patent professor, John Rizvi. You can check out this deeper dive online by going to KXL.com. The podcast link is at the top of the homepage. So when you click that link, just go down the drop-down list, and you'll find Portland's Afternoon News. John, it's always good talking to you. Thanks for sharing your expertise.
Always a pleasure.